over. The Jazz hold on and they win 128 to 120. The Kings lost this game in the first quarter when they were outscored 40-19. All right, 40-19 was the score at the end of one. That's a lot to make up. The Kings did that. They actually took the lead, but they could not hold on, and they lose it 128 to 120. Ryan's going to be coming up in just a moment as we've got a lot to discuss, all here on the postgame show. Not tonight, Rhino. Not tonight. The Kings fought back. They made it close. They actually had the lead, but too much Jazz down the stretch, 128 to 120.
Yeah, Grant, just a little bit too much to overcome. But one thing or two things we've learned about this team is, one, they are never out of a game the way they shoot. But two, they cannot get off to bad starts. Period. End of story.
Yep.
And that is the summary that I have for you.
Okay, well, the first quarter was embarrassing. I mean, there's no other way to say it. 40-19. Sabonis did have a rough night, 4 of 11. But hey, you know what? When's the last time we said that? Like first week of the season, right?
Yeah. So, when he didn't play.
Yeah. So, again, I don't think it's that big of a deal. The Kings went 3-1 on the road trip. I'm looking at the big picture. They are now third because Memphis beat Dallas tonight. So, it happens. Again, it happens. What are you going to do? You're going to stop rooting for the team? I mean, so they lost. They lost to a team that was shorthanded, but that's life in the NBA. And you thought this would be the game. You actually had the Kings going 3-1. You were worried about this game. You said this is the game they were going to lose, and you're spot on.
Yeah, Utah just, for whatever reason, they play them tough. They had Utah on the first night of a back-to-back earlier in the season. It was a close game. So, I just kind of had a feeling. I was hoping I was wrong, but that's okay. We move on to Boston tomorrow.
How about Walker Kessler and how well he played in this game?
I'm not going to say a star in the making, but certainly this kid's going to have a healthy career. I mean, you talk about 56 points in the paint tonight. Yep. That tells you Utah was doing it inside to the Kings 38. That's it. Yep. That's all the Kings had inside the paint. Yep. But he went toe to toe with one of the best big men in the NBA and did not shy down one bit.
How about the 3 games that have been played between these two teams on New Year's Eve? The Kings won 126 to 125. Mm-hmm. Then on a week later, the Kings won 117 to 115. And the final score tonight was 128 to 120. But the game was a lot closer than that would indicate if you didn't watch the game because of, free throws in garbage time. These teams, whether you have your key guys playing or not, boy, do they match up well, don't they?
Yes, they do. And they're one of those teams that I wouldn't want to see if they got into the 8th spot. That's for sure. And they match up well with them, like you mentioned. And this is without Marketing. Marketing adds a whole nother dynamic for them. But Utah, it's just a good system they have out there, Grant. No matter what, they're always pretty darn solid. Yeah,
and they play coming up on just a couple days. You're right. So it'll be the 4th and final meeting of the year between these two teams. 128 to 120. And again, the first quarter, as Ryan pointed out, and I was just talking about, you're going to have a difficult time winning when you give up 40 points and only score 19. You're playing from behind the whole game. It takes so much effort. They did that. I mean, the third quarter was huge tonight, Ryan. 43 to 27. The Kings outscored the Jazz. And the game was tied. The game was tied going into the fourth. I thought a key sequence in the fourth quarter, Fox hit a 3. Olynyk hit a 3, and then the guy that we were just talking about, all right, for the Utah Jazz, I thought Kessler came up with maybe the biggest defensive play in the game. He blocked a layup attempt by Sabonis. The Jazz got the rebound. Kessler got the rebound. The Jazz were then fouled. They made both free throws. That, to me, was a huge sequence in the final minutes of this game.
Yeah, it certainly was, Grant. I mean, it was kind of a momentum swing. I mean, we've seen many times earlier in the season where Fox hits a three like that, and that's what ignites the Kings. That's when you know, okay, it's go time. They're going to get up. But the Jazz snatched it right back there, and they did it with defense. So, good for them. Good, solid win for the Jazz.
All right. Again, 128-120. The Jazz win for the first time this year. And we told you that Memphis beat Dallas for the third time in a week. So the Grizzlies now are second. The Kings drop a game, and they are third. We look at the standings, and we update you on how things look right now in the West. Again, the Warriors were in Houston tonight, and they won that game. So the Warriors are sixth at 37-36. All right. The Mavericks with the loss are seventh, Minnesota eighth, and the Jazz now have moved ahead of the Lakers, and they are 10th as they try to get into the play-in tournament. So all these games are so important coming down the stretch.
Every single one. And, I would expect a very similar game between the Kings and the Jazz when they match up again in a few days. So that's going to be interesting to watch, and watch out for them. They could be a threat for that play-in. Definitely.
A lot of people criticizing the way the game is called tonight on Sabonis. Did you have an issue with that?
I had no issue with it whatsoever. It was a physical game across the board. I thought the officials did absolutely fine.
Yeah, it just seems like whenever the Kings lose, the fans want to point towards the officials. You had Scott Foster, Justin Van Duyn, and JT Orr. That's an excellent officiating crew. Again, it's at some point when you lose, you got to stop talking about the officials. It seems to happen all the time. And, as far as, who got away with this, got away with that, it's the NBA. That's going to happen on both sides. It really is. So, again, the Kings are third now after the loss at 43-28. They're now 22-14 on the road as they lose it 128-120. All right, so I want to tell you what we're doing, because the amount of people that have watched this stream from abroad is amazing. We get people all the time telling us they're watching it over in Australia, Asia, wherever they are in Europe, the Bahamas. I mean, it's phenomenal. It really is. It's great. We got Eduardo in Chile. So I have a friend right now who's in Vietnam on vacation, and he called me yesterday and said, "You are not going to believe this. I'm on the beach, and all of a sudden I see 4 guys walking down the beach with Kings jerseys on. Here's the photo. All with J. Will jerseys on." He goes, "Hey, are you from Sacramento?" Goes, "Yep." They go, "Oh, man, me too." And they sit there and they had a drink, and they took this photo. That is from Da Nang, Vietnam, all hanging out, Kings fans. So I'm going to put this picture on Twitter in a few moments. If you are watching from a different part of the world, send us a photo in your Kings gear. Make it current. I don't want a photo from yesterday or last week or whatever. And every game, I will put a photo right up here, and you can email me your photo at gnapier@gmail.com. All right, gnapier@gmail.com. Send me your photo and where you are, and I will choose a different photo all the time. And how about all those J. Will jerseys? Huh? You think they're J. Will fans or what? So anyway, the time difference was pretty crazy. So I got on the phone, and he put me on speaker, and he goes, "Hey, guys, I want you to hear somebody." And I go, "Oh, if you don't like that, you don't like NBA basketball." And they went freaking crazy. They couldn't believe it. And I had a quick conversation with them. So we're going to start doing that. So again, here is my email for this particular segment, gnapier@gmail.com. Send the photos again, and every game I'll pick one out.
Grant, you got to put the picture up one more time.
Yeah, I will absolutely put another. Yeah.
Okay. These are the original J. Will jerseys. These are not the remakes. That is what is so damn cool about
those are the originals.
Those are original OGs. What a cool moment.
How awesome is that? How awesome,
So
huh?
so what did they do? I know you said they went nuts, but I'm sure you were the last person they expected here on the line.
They went nuts. When I first said that, I could hear them all in the background, and then they go, "Oh man, we love you." One of the guy goes, "Oh man, I've been watching you ever since I was a little kid, and I can't believe that you were on the phone." And it was fun. We talked for a few minutes, and I said, "Hey, I hope I can meet you guys when I get back to Sacramento." So it was neat. There's Kings fans everywhere. I think it's just neat.
That is awesome. What are the chances, man? You're on vacation, you're walking down the beach, having a beer, you run into
I know.
somebody that knows Napes, and the next thing you know, you're on the phone with Napes in paradise,
That
wearing your Kings gear.
I
That's
love it.
great.
Absolutely. Eduardo, it's real cool. And I know you join us every night from Chile down in South America, and we really appreciate what you do. All right. What the Kings did not do tonight, they did not come out ready to play 128 to 120. So, listen, I have a very difficult time being critical of this team right now because of how well they've played. When you say there's no excuses, it's NBA. They had played in Washington 48 hours prior. It's over 4 hour flight. I mean, you got to get used to the time difference. I can make excuse after excuse. The bottom line is you're not going 82-0. Okay. You're just not going to go 82-0. I'm looking at the big picture. The big picture is the Kings were down by over 20 points in this game, found a way to come back and take the lead, and fell short at the end. The big picture is they went 3-1 on a 4-game trip. Who's not going to take 3-1 on a 4-game trip? Here's the other thing. They're 43-28. They still have a lot of games left. They're going to be fine. I'm not going to lose sleep because they lost this game tonight to the Jazz.
Here's the thing. The Jazz, they're only 2 games under 500. They're a good basketball team
Yes.
even without their 2 best players, okay? I mean, they're not pushovers. Like Grant said, this is the NBA.
Yep.
So, are the Kings a better team? Yes. But, they played better than the Kings tonight. That's what it is. It's not an excuse. It's not altitude. It's not the refs. It's not travel. They just got beat tonight. They
Yeah,
were the
and
better
that's
team.
fine. And that's fine. It's the way it is. The Jazz just beat the Celtics the game before this. So the Jazz are not a bad team. They're well coached and they're on the road. And again, I was very impressed with how the Kings came out to start the third quarter. I'm fine with it. Again, you're not going 82-0. You're not going 82-0.
No, but when we started the show, I mean, we already had the doomsday messages, this is unacceptable, yada, yada, yada. And it's like, no, just chill, slow your roll. Certainly there were things. Now, if the Kings would have got blown out and played the same way they did in the first half,
Yes.
now we can have a conversation about how bad that night was. But they brought it the second half, which is important. And the Jazz did do some things well, okay? They threw the zone defense at him. Sabonis was just collapsed on almost every single play he got the ball. But at the end of the day, again, the Jazz made shots when they needed to. They held home court. It's a tough Western Conference. You move on. You see them again down the road.
This says it all right here. Average teams still beat very good teams. Happens a lot. Yeah, it does. Happens all the time.
Exactly. This was not a 16 seed beating a 1 seed in the NCAA tournament.
No.
Your Kings are not a 1 seed, so let's just put it there.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, I'm not losing sleep over this game tonight. I'm really not. The Jazz are. I mean, the 3 games have gone right down to the wire that they played. So that tells you, a lot about these games. And you're going to see them again coming up in a couple of days next week, right? It's going to be coming up next week.
Grant, let me ask you a couple questions, okay? Would you be concerned if I said the Kings had 28 assists for the night?
Would I be what?
Concerned about
No.
this? Okay.
28 assists? No.
Yeah. Would you be concerned if I said the Kings had 6 turnovers?
I would say that's a great assist to turnover ratio.
Would you be concerned if I said the Kings had 43 rebounds?
Nope.
Those are all numbers the Kings had tonight. The Jazz were just a little better.
Yep. Again, get ready for tomorrow. Memphis, you can't worry about what other teams are doing. Just go out and take care of your own business. All right? Just go out and take care of your own business. Hey, we want to say thank you to all of you that have been going down to Bennett's. They are phenomenal. Roseville and Sacramento, Eureka and Lead Hill Road, and then Howe and Fair Oaks in Sacramento. Prime seafood and steak. I love the red fish. Comes with a side of sauteed spinach if I'm doing the fish. If I'm going beef, it's tough to beat the bone-in ribeye or the porterhouse. The prime New York's great. They got tremendous cuts of beef, including hanger steak. It's all there for you. Don't forget about the weekend brunch. Also, the prime rib on the weekends. And how about this? Over 50 different wines available by the glass. Get down to Bennett's. Don't forget they're coming to Rockland soon at the Blue Oaks Town Center as well. That's Bennett's, big-time supporters of the Sacramento Kings as well. 128, 120. Here's that picture again. Look at those vintage shirts. Those jerseys are awesome, huh?
Yeah, that brings you back to your childhood. Those look like the ones right out of the team store at Arco Arena.
Hanging out at the beach. Look at over the shoulder there. There's a huge statue up there on the hill.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what, too? Those are white jerseys. That means they have respected those jerseys over the years.
Yeah. How about that, huh?
Look at that. Yeah.
So, isn't that awesome?
That's so great. My only problem...
That photo is going to be tough to beat.
That is going to be really hard to beat. But you know what? My only problem with that photo...
Yeah.
Come on, guys. You're on vacation, on a beach vacation. Tennis shoes? Get your feet in the sand, boys.
I know. It's a good point right there.
Get your feet in the sand.
Good point right there.
You would have had an A+.
Well, you know what? It's possible that on the other side of this picture, there's a boardwalk, and they were walking on the cement, and they walked out onto the sand to take a picture. I didn't get that much detail, so I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt, but I'm with you. Come on. It's you're on a beautiful beach. You're in Vietnam. Let's go.
Oh my gosh. If that's the biggest problem with the picture, they're doing all right. They are doing all right, my friend.
Oh gosh.
So
unbelievable.
Great. This is going to be awesome. I can't wait to see all the pictures you get. I can only imagine.
It's going to be great.
What's going to come in.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. All right, so again, 128 to 120. The first quarter is where the Kings lost this game. Kings also not great at the line tonight, 19 of 25. Not terrible, but, not great. And so get ready to take on the Boston Celtics tomorrow, all right? How about a rant wearing shoes on the sand? Depends where you are, okay? I'll never forget, I was in Spain on the Costa del Sol in the middle of summer when I was 18. And my brother and I were there, and we went to the beach. And I kid you not, okay, I'm not making this up. The sand was so hot that we had to throw our towel down, jump on the towel, then our shirt that we were wearing, throw that down, jump on the shirt, then pick it up. And that's how we got to where we were going on the beach. We could not walk on the sand because it was that freaking hot. But that wasn't the case there in that picture in Vietnam. Take the freaking shoes off and let's get in the sand. Absolutely right.
That will happen from time to time, depending on where you're at. Maui, I've had that happen. San Diego from time to time, which isn't normal. Rich can talk to that because usually the weather's a little bit more 80s, 90s-ish. But hot sand's no bueno.
Where is the other guy's jersey? Well, I'm going to cut him some slack because if you remember when the Maloofs sold this team to Seattle and Kevin Johnson said, hey, you know what? We need local investors to step up. That person in the picture was one of the first guys to step up and go, I'm in. Here's my $1 million. So I'm going to cut him some slack by not having his Kings jersey on, okay? He's made up for it.
How about cut him some standing applause?
Yes. And he doesn't like the attention for that. It's not why he did it. So I didn't even mention his name because he doesn't like that. He said, hey, I didn't do it for that. I did it because it was the right thing to do. And I'm like, that's exactly right. All right. 128, 120. Fox doing his thing. Again, if De'Aaron Fox is anything less than second all NBA team, there ought to be an investigation. 37 points, 14 of 21, 6 of 9, 3 of 4 line. I mean, the guy does it all. 7 assists, 1 turnover. What else can you ask for from De'Aaron Fox?
He is getting right up there with Sabonis in terms of consistency. You know what you're going to get every night with this guy, and you're right. I mean, you could almost say if he is not first team All
Hmm.
NBA, there's a
I think
big
he should be
problem at
first
this
team
point.
also, but I think he's
So
probably in all likelihood going to be second. But in my opinion, I don't know if I could name two guards that have had a better year than De'Aaron Fox.
it is hard. So I'm going to throw this your way. I know
Yeah.
you don't like talking about this stuff, but do you think Fox and Sabonis will get an MVP vote for the league this year?
Um, that's a fabulous question. I will say no, they won't get an MVP vote because I do believe that it's going to be Giannis, Embiid, and Nikola getting all of the votes. What do you think?
I think one of the two will.
Uh-huh.
I think I lean more towards Sabonis when we say a vote, probably a vote. But I think both are definitely in the conversation. If you're talking about 7 guys, how can you leave both of them out of the conversation?
You know, as far as what the coach is doing and not doing, De'Aaron Fox played 36 minutes tonight. Okay. 36 minutes. The guy's been a workhorse. I don't have an issue. And here's the other deal. The Jazz took the big lead with Fox on the floor. So the coach is trying to okay, I need to find a different lineup that's ready to play and keep on going. Sabonis to me should be either first or second All NBA team, but that's just me. What do you think about what that one person had to say about Fox sitting out too long in the first quarter?
I completely disagree. Like you said, the Jazz took the lead with him on the floor. Mike Brown's made it very clear he doesn't care if you're Sabonis, Fox, or Delly. You're going to be accountable. And
Mm-hmm.
if you're not playing well, you're going to sit on the bench. Look what happened to Terrence Davis tonight.
Yeah.
He did not. Did he step on the floor again? I don't think he
5
did in
minutes.
the second half.
5 minutes.
Yeah,
Unless he got an injury that we weren't aware of.
Okay. So no,
Because I
Fox
haven't
should
heard
have.
anything coming out of the locker room yet as it relates to him. So, keep that in mind.
Fair enough. So no, Fox. I have no problem with Coach Brown keeping him on the bench.
I don't either. So, all right. What about tomorrow? What do you think?
Oh man. Well, the Kings usually don't play well coming off of a road trip, the first game back. But this is a different team. Since the All-Star break, I think tomorrow I think it's going to be a close game. It really depends on the bigs and what kind of contributions we get from Metu and Lyles against Boston, because we're going to need them a lot.
See if Kevin Huerter's back in the lineup too.
See if Kevin's back in the lineup. I think Boston probably edges them out tonight. Had this been a little bit of a different game tonight, then I may have a different opinion. But I think it'll be close. But Boston in the end takes it.
All right. Here are your last 5 games for the Boston Celtics. Okay. They beat Atlanta on the road 134 to 125. 2 nights later, they lost to the lowly Rockets 111 to 109.
Mm-hmm.
Then they won at Minnesota to start this road trip. Well, shouldn't say start this road trip, continue the road trip, 104 to 102. They beat Portland 126 to 112, and then lost their last game 118 to 117. Now, we talk about getaway, right? You talk about getaway games. Tomorrow's getaway night for the Boston Celtics. They started this road trip on Sunday, March 12th. All right. So here we are coming down to a game tomorrow. They've been on the road a long time, but they are coming off a loss. So I doubt the Celtics will mail this in tomorrow, even on getaway day. I think you're going to probably get the better version of the Celtics, who have been very up and down. They've been very up and down lately. They have not played the way you would think. They were number 1, and not only are they, they're 3 games behind the Bucks, and guess what? They're tied in the loss column with Philadelphia for the 2nd seed. So these are big games for the Celtics. I expect them to play very well.
Yeah, I do too. Just what you and some of those games they lost, they were close games.
Yep,
Granted, it was competition that they are better than. So I think they're going to be rested, and I think they're going to bring their A game. I don't think a team like that has a championship pedigree is going to be as obsessed with getaway night or getaway games as some other teams will be. So I think it's you're gonna get their best shot. You just are. It's a different Eastern Conference, Grant.
it
Don't you
is.
think?
Yeah, the Eastern Conference is better than the West this year. There's no question about that. I don't see how anyone could, look at the standings and say anything other than that. But here's what we do know: the Kings are going to the playoffs. We don't know what seed. They're not going to be any worse than 3, unless like Fox and Sabonis get hurt and they can't play any more games. But they would probably still be 3. So they're not going to be worse than 3. And the question is, as we get down now to April, we're in the last week of March. Who are they going to be playing in the first round? And right now, I don't even think you could even make an educated guess. There are 5 or 6 different teams that the Kings could be playing in the first round if they're a 3 seed or a 2 seed. They could be playing any of the listen, right now, Dallas, Minnesota, Oklahoma City, Utah, and I'm going to put the Lakers in there. Okay. I could see all of those teams getting into the top 8. In other words, I could see them prevailing. All right. So 7 and 8, if you win that game, you're in. And then whoever's 9 and 10, I could see Oklahoma City winning like New Orleans did last year. I could see the Lakers doing that. So it's really too hard right now when you look at the standings to try to even figure out who gets 3 and who gets 2. It's the standings are changing. I mean, look at this tonight. Phoenix did not play. They have 33 losses. The Clippers, 1 loss more. And then the Warriors have 36. So it's 33, 34, and 36, 4, 5, and 6. That's changing every night.
Yeah, it's gonna be it for some of these teams. It's gonna come down to the last game, Grant, in terms
Yes.
of positioning. That's what it's gonna be. I don't see, and Grant, it's how the Western Conference has pretty much been all year up until right before the All-Star break when things started to separate a little bit.
Yeah.
It's gonna be bunched up,
All
with
right.
the exception of the top of the league. So. I do want to ask you this. Do you
Yeah.
think that there is some disadvantage to being the 1 seed and not having the extra time to scout who you're going to be playing exactly for that
No.
period of time in the plan?
No, because if you're the number 1 seed, it really shouldn't matter who you're playing and who you're scouting and everything else. If you're the number 1 seed, and Denver's been struggling lately, they're 5 and 5, but you're number 1 for a reason over 82 games. You proved that you are the best team in the conference. Shouldn't matter who you're playing. It just shouldn't.
Even if you've got some teams floating around there like the Lakers that if they just need to get in and they're healthy and they're playing well?
But you can't control that. You
No,
can't
you
control who
can't.
you're going to play, right? And the pressure's on Michael Malone in Denver. They've been good, right? But they have not gotten the job done in the postseason. Will they be able to do it this year? 48 and 24. Again, they are not playing very well right now. Hey, I want to tell you about New Works Plumbing of Sacramento. They are available around the clock 24/7. Just go to sackserviceplumbing.com or you can call the number on your screen. They have got a fix for you. Just go to sackserviceplumbing.com. Again, New Works Plumbing, they've got a fix for you. 128 to 120, the Kings fall short, and waiting for them are the Boston Celtics, who lost to the Jazz by a point. Going to be interesting to see how the Kings start this game tomorrow. First quarter is going to be key tomorrow.
Huge, absolutely huge tomorrow. If let's play this out really quick. Let's say Kevin does not play tomorrow. Do you turn to Kessler again in that starting role?
Uh, I don't think it matters who he starts. I really don't. I think what's really important more so, and I know the Kings gave up a huge deficit in the first quarter, but based on the last 2 games, it looks like that's the way he's going to go. I would not start Monk. I know a lot of people are saying start Monk, start Monk. I just like his scoring punch off the bench. I think you need that change of pace type of a player, that spark plug coming off the bench. So, to me, it's either Davis or it's Edwards, right? You don't really have any other options. I would not start Malik Monk.
Yeah, I'm with you. You've got to have that change of pace. That's just basketball 101, right? You think about the great Kings teams, Bobby Jackson, right? That spark plug a little bit different than Bibby, and then you get the mix of Monk and
Yeah.
Fox together once they're already in the flow of the game. So I'm with you there.
Yeah, again, the Kings are now 43 and 28. They're going to be the second or third seed. They're not going to be 1. They're not going to be 4. Okay, they're just not. They're either going to be second or third, and that's think about what we're saying here. Can you
It's
imagine
crazy.
someone telling you at the beginning of the season that the Kings were going to be the number 2 or number 3 seed in the West after 82 games? You would say there's not a chance, no chance. But here they
Grant,
are. Here they are.
yeah, Grant, we were saying it at the All-Star break. We were both
Yeah.
saying, hey, if they hang on to the 6th seed,
Mm-hmm.
everybody else is going to surge. But if they get the 6, that is a
Yep.
successful season. And guess what? No, 2 or 3. 2 or 3.
So again, a 3-1 road trip. I'm looking at the big picture. 3-1 road trip, 43-28, coming home to take on the Celtics. Now I'll tell you what I think will happen tomorrow, and because I find this to be typical of fans that live game by game instead of the big picture. If the Kings lose tomorrow, I would make the same argument that I made against the Bucks. To me, the Celtics are a better team than the Kings. Okay? If the Celtics play their A game tomorrow and the Kings play their A game, the Celtics will win, similarly to what we saw before the road trip when the Bucks brought in their A game and the Kings played their A game. What happened? The Bucks won. Why? Because they had a superstar and they're a better team. I think that will be true of tomorrow. Unfortunately, I think Kings fans are going to want to jump off the rooftops and go, oh, here we go again. Oh, it's the same old Kings. No, it's not the same old Kings.
No.
You look at the big picture. The Kings have been playing extremely well. They lost tonight, not the end of the freaking world. And if they happen to lose tomorrow and play well, it's not the end of the freaking world. So just keep that in mind.
Yeah, it's the success, right? It's you see something you really like to eat, and instead of grabbing a little bit, you just want to go all in on it. But I guess there will. I see it a little differently, Grant. Even if the Kings don't bring their A game and they still somewhat compete, that's still okay for me, especially at this point in the season. But I think that's where the sky is going to be falling, is going to come in if they put up a first quarter and then don't come back like they did tonight against Boston.
All right. Somebody wants to know what is the last 10-game grade for the Kings. I'm giving them an A.
I'm giving them an A plus. How could you not? They played in Milwaukee right down to the buzzer, basically. And they showed us more in that loss than we've seen in many wins this year.
Well, again, everything is looking good. The Celtics tomorrow. Ryan will be on with the pregame. Then we'll be on at halftime and postgame. Appreciate everyone for joining us. Let's take a look at that picture one more time. And I want to see you in your Kings gear. If you're watching from around the world, then send me a picture, current, to gnapier@gmail.com. And maybe you'll see your picture right here on the postgame and on my social media platforms. So we're looking forward to that. All right. Any final words, my friend?
Yeah. Whoever gets chosen tomorrow for the picture, you got your work cut out for you.
Yeah. Yes, you do. Absolutely. You do have the work cut out for you. All right. Hey, thank you so much for being right here. If you don't like that, Kings and Celtics tomorrow, can't wait to do it. So long, everybody.